Welcome back to ACC Network Extra. The Florida State fans are on their heels a little bit. They trail 1-0 to Virginia at halftime in Game 2 of our doubleheader semifinal Friday in the ACC. As we welcome you back to the booth, joined by a couple of Tar Heels, Cat Whitehill, Anson Dorrance. Anson Dorrance and the Tar Heels are through to the final on Sunday. Congratulations on the win, Coach. What do you make of the performance?
Well, I thought first half we played very well. And, of course, the nature of the game is sometimes it doesn't matter how well you play, you just can't put the ball in the back of the net. And I think coming into halftime, we didn't really know what to say because there wasn't that much criticism, except we just couldn't get anything on frame or in the back of the net. Second half, we actually didn't play as well as we did in the first half, but we got the goal thanks to a great move on the flank by Rachel Jones. Then, of course, Dorwart just fighting our way through the middle of the Clemson defense to push it in from close range. So I'm excited. It's great to be in the final again, and it's great to see us playing a deep roster, especially in light of the fact that we've got 3 starters out with Russo, of course, and Jonesy. Actually, she came back today a bit as our starting left wick, and then Fox with the U.S. full team. But I'm very happy to be in the ACC final.
Well, that was one thing that when Heather Riley was interviewed earlier was the depth of this team. And, you know, what is the difference? Because it seemed like even when you did sub players in, it was as if you didn't skip a beat in your rhythm.
Well, I think we do something differently than a lot of teams. In the old days, I think we suffered a lot of criticism because we do believe in playing a deep roster. But our philosophy, I think, is different than a lot of coaches. If we recruit you, we're going to play you. The only requirement is that you have to defend. So even if you're the center forward, you've got to defend. And all the kids that we're defending have a chance to play. And as you know, it makes a big difference if everyone on the team is defending. And if you look at some of the data from this year's team, this is a very good defensive team. Of course, we don't know where the goals are coming from, but I think we're very good at making it hard for the other team to score.
How about some highlights? Let's take a look back at what happened in the first game of our semifinal here on ACC Network Extra. Andrzejewski had a really strong game, especially in the air.
She really did. And you know what? She's a fabulous athlete. And our new starter out of left wing has been serving her. And, of course, that's Rachel Jones serving Rachel Dorwart for the goal. And Rachel Jones was the starter left wing, but I thought Maddie Schultz had a great first half serving Bridget. And, of course, here's a cracker. I remember this part was in my throat. Thank goodness it pinged off the bar. But that is a well-struck ball. And, of course, that could have leveled it up.
Yeah. Well, it kept Leshnak's shutout streak alive. What's the minute up to now?
You know what's amazing is it's hard at this juncture for anyone to break any records at Carolina. She broke a record for scoreless minutes. It's unbelievable. In the age of parity, for her to have so many scoreless minutes, so we're very proud of her. And, of course, all the kids that defend for us as well.
We were trying to do the math as to what the minutes were, but we didn't figure it out, so I don't know if you know the minutes now.
It was complex, but okay. it's up there. But for her to have this scoreless streak, obviously we're very proud of her.
Great.
Kat, this is practically the free square. You get to ask whatever you want.
I do. Okay, so you're looking at this game in Florida State, Virginia. You know these teams so well. You know what? You know, is there anyone that you would prefer to play over the other?
Well, we've already played FSU, and as FSU is discovering, one of the hardest things to do is to beat a team twice.
Yeah.
So, you know, FSU is obviously the challenge for them is to beat a team that's wonderfully motivated because, you know, when you lose against a team, your motivation's through the roof. So that's a big challenge for FSU right now. Honestly, it's pick your poison. These are 2 outstanding teams. We're not going to try to select one to play in the final because we think they're both outstanding. But obviously, we're ecstatic to be in the final. So for me, that's satisfying enough right now.
Coach, appreciate the time. You should try TV sometime.
Yeah. Well, he's going to.
Nice tip.
His daughter's having twins, so.
Yeah, I have my butt to be a grandfather again. I've got 2 twins coming tonight or tomorrow, so I'm in a great mood right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Coach, thanks for the time. We are at halftime here between Florida State and the University of Virginia, and the Cavaliers have the lead. We'll show you how it happened when we come back.
Stop me.
The lights are shining in Cary, North Carolina tonight as it's semifinal Friday. Sunday, it's going to be North Carolina and one of these teams. Virginia is ahead at halftime. Back with Kat Whitehill and Mike Watts. Kat, I'm not sure if you ever got one of those big awards, at the end of the season.
Got a couple.
But there are some major award winners, individual award winners in the ACC.
Yeah, and, you're looking at Zhao tonight playing a nice game so far, but she's just been a specimen for Mark Krikorian and the Florida State team and just getting Freshman of the Year. But the real disappointing one is Offensive Player of the Year for Alicia Russo, and she broke her leg a couple of games ago. But, all those players deserve the award, and Anson Dorrance deserves the Coach of the Year as he went undefeated in the ACC, and it's tough to do it because all these teams are so impressive.
As you see, Zhao there is going to be back on the field for Florida State. Mere moments. Virginia's got a 1-0 lead. Do the Seminoles get back? Or is Virginia going to the final?
The 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best truck warranty, which covers more than any other truck in its class, inside and out, bumper to bumper. Now's the time to save with exclusive offers like this.
ACC semifinal is at halftime between the University of Virginia and Florida State University. It's the Cavaliers with a 1-0 advantage in Cary, North Carolina, and the head coach of the Seminoles, Mark Krikorian, joins us from the sideline. Coach, what's the message at halftime to your team?
Well, I think that by and large we played okay. We had a couple of really good looks at their goal, and I think we have to be a little more clinical in front of the goal. But that's a very good team that we're playing against, and they created and scored a nice goal.
Well, I saw you when you were meeting with the coaches right before you were going into the locker room. You were looking at something specific on the video. Do you see an adjustment that your team needs to make to keep possession even more?
No, I think that there are a couple of different elements. Certainly wanting to be a possession team as we try. Sometimes that can work against you a little bit. Sometimes a direct ball will help us a little bit as well. And we have some pace in some different areas that I think that we need to have a little bit more varied attack. Sometimes nice and slow and deliberate. Other times let's put the ball forward and use a little bit of pace.
Coach, it's a long walk to the bench. Head on over. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Mark Krikorian joining us as Zhao and Florida State try and overcome the deficit. As Virginia the lead. Highlights from the first half after this.
Thanks. It's like a smart thing. What's the weather?
Sunny. Perfect chicken eating weather.
How'd you get in here?
It's time for chicken.
What's the traffic like?
Rerouting you to chicken.
Okay.
Hey, Calzo, order pizza.
Ordering chicken.
No, pizza.
Chicken.
Okay, chicken it is.
Chick-fil-A nuggets make dinner delightful.
Now that's smart.
Halftime in Cary, Virginia, 1-0 lead over Florida State with Kat Whitehill, Mike Watts. Let's take a look at how we got here. As Virginia and Florida State meeting in the second of two semifinals, and nearly a disaster at the outset.
McLaren is very grateful for that crossbar and for Ivory, and what a brilliant save there. Just getting a little tip, and crossbar helps out with a poor clearance on a slick surface. And then here, Zhao, some brilliant touching and dealing with a slide tackle like that. But what I like the most about this ball is Tillman could have easily played it across, but finds Castellanos, but an excellent deflection from Virginia.
And then Virginia going the other way. Minutes later, opportunity at the top of the box. Your eyes went maybe handball.
Yeah,
close?
maybe handball. It's close. Her arms were pretty close to her body, so it might not be a PK, but that was close. And Yet again, Virginia's defense making game or goal-saving tackles because Florida State has been close. But this was the goal from Adu where I guess it wasn't part of the plan, but it worked out really well as it was deflected right to Morris on that back post. And just a little skip ball like that in that traffic, it's difficult for any goalkeeper to hold on to it, but Bollinger didn't get enough of a strong wrist and hands to deflect it enough, and Morris was able to finish on the backside.
So Virginia with a 1-0 lead at halftime. Kat, if you're UVA, you get that goal, call it fluky or whatever you want off the set piece if it's not exactly what they were trying to do. What do you do now? If FSU had a decent amount of the ball for a large segment of that half, surely you want to try and nurse this thing to the finish line.
Well, you heard Coach Swanson as he was walking off that they were giving the ball away too easily, and a lot of that is because when you do finally win the ball back, you're tired. And so the key for them is when they win the ball back, just put your foot on it. Take a breath and be patient again, and you build up because that's the Virginia style as well. And Florida State did a nice job of forcing some unforced errors from Virginia with their possession and winning it back quickly. But now Virginia, now that they have the 1-goal lead, they can be patient. They can hold the ball and they don't have to force anything.
It's Ivory from the back. Lived in Argentina first 3 years of her life. Most starts the most recent U20 cycle for the U.S. national team. Jarrett won't get to this. Jarrett now. Nutmeg to Torres.
And those were two players from Virginia right there, McCool and Torres, that just didn't touch the ball nearly enough for them to be successful in the attack. Spancher was a dangerous player on the outside, but Torres is an extremely creative midfielder, and she just wasn't able to get a hold of the ball nearly enough.
Back line stepping forward because Jarrett was coming. Played on the ground by Anna Patton. Played with England in the U20 World Cup. These youth World Cups have sort of changed the nature of some of these off seasons for these young players.
Well, you gain so much experience in that, and you know, we talk about how tough the ACC is. It's especially tough on freshmen because of the physicality of this game. But when you've gone through a U20 World Cup, that helps you gain that experience and deal with the type of pressure that you're going to get from ACC. That's why Patton has done well, and Howell, who, you know, freshman now, is doing extremely well growing into the game. And, you know, it helps to have that international experience.
Yeah, we asked Krikorian a little bit about it. He said, look at the schedule we played in non-conference. Are these freshmen ready for this level? We played Vanderbilt, who won the SEC, Florida, who were projected to win the SEC, UCLA, USC, and then the meat of the ACC. They feel like they prepared these freshmen for the opportunity to play in an ACC semifinal, or who knows, maybe be here in a month to play in College Cup. Virginia, pretty similar strength of schedule.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everybody wants to play these teams in their in their non-conference schedule because they are so tough, and they know that both these teams will go far in the tournament, in the NCAA tournament, and so that's how they want to prepare. So of course, because they already have the ACC, that's tough, and then the non-conference on top of it. So, you know, no time to rest. The season is short.
You can't just line up an FCS team to pump a win out of the schedule. Ball dropped back and deflected straight off from McCool. Jarrett. And Castellanos on the ball.
Virginia shot by number 22, Megan
Zhao. McFarland out in front, but Zhao continues. Zhao pulled up and sought out Castellanos. Bounces down, Castellanos! Another highlight reel goal. She's chock full of them. Florida State levels at 1-1.
Well, and that's the possession that Coach Krikorian was talking about, possessing it in high areas in your attacking third area. And Castellanos, what a clinical finish. This is world class. Just even if it is a little ricochet, Lynch doing a nice job of beating her defender. When the defender does well to get back, but it just, the deflection lands right at her foot, at Castellanos' foot, and too much time and space to give a player of her caliber that kind of time to look up, see where the goalkeeper is, and just with a nice bent ball, plays it into that far post. And she's got good dance moves as well. So.
We were told she's just so intelligent. FIFA brought her to the World Cup over the summer in Russia to promote the Women's World Cup as a journalist, which led Mark Krikorian to suggest that maybe Kat's job is on the line in the future, to which we responded, that's why we have a spare headset.
Yeah, we have a spare, and she has way too much playing career in front of her, so I'm going to be very old by the time she comes into the booth. So I think I'll be long gone before she starts this career.
That U17 World Cup half field goal that she scored was up for FIFA Goal of the Year, which, you know, Carly Lloyd is up for that goal, not a U17 player at Florida State. And she was up for FIFA Player of the Year. Castellanos again. Castellanos is through. Castellanos save by Ivory. Oh, so much patience. A player with 19 goals last year just scored her 8th of the season moments ago.
Wow, this was superb from Ivory. I'm all alone. Excellent play from Castellanos again. So difficult to defend because she keeps the ball so close. But quick off her line, not giving a good enough angle for Castellanos to finish that. And that's keeping Virginia in the game. And right now it's all Florida State. The adjustments at half have really worked.
And here they come again in transition. And this ball struck out of play untouched. That's a long run for Kirsten Havlisko.
Yeah, and you knew she was going to shoot. When you're making that run like that as a defender, you're thinking only one thing, and that's to shoot. And that's how I was. So I was like, she's not passing that ball to McFarland. She's going for it.
Out of St. John's Country Day, where she won 4 straight Florida titles and established the school record for goals scored. She's got a little bit of you in her. Been there, done that. Tug at the jersey. It's Taryn Torres that got pulled down.
Foul. Florida State.
Well, with the hard defending that Virginia did in the first half, they've got to get back to that. And they've just given too much time, especially to a player like Castellanos. You got to make sure you know where she is. She cannot touch the ball as much as she has already in the second half.
That header from 18 yards came with a decent clip of pace to it, but Bollinger has it.
Virginia header by number 11, Zoe Morris.
Morse the header, Morse the goal in the 43rd. Well, Lynch is going to have to come off. Looks like there's potentially some blood there on the nose.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Had a similar incident in the first game.
Yeah.
Little cut over the eyebrow. Lynch is the one who actually played that ball through to Castellanos earlier.
I can see here, she's so sophisticated. She wants the ball earlier than that from Lynch on her right foot. Unfortunately, it gets there. And if Lynch had looked up earlier, she would have had even more time and space to finish that. That was nice running there and just knowing exactly where she wants the ball to be played.
And the other one that Lynch played that was, I mean, like a hot knife through butter. I mean, it was just perfection.
Yeah, they want her to get her bleeding dealt with so they can get her back on the field. She's been a great player for them.
believe it or not, she has 1 assist all season coming in. That's her second, and should have had a third. Could have had a third, if not for Ivory. Tillman. Our coverage continues of the ACC Soccer Championship on Sunday, noon Eastern. It's North Carolina. And who's going to play in that second half of that final? Well, we're no closer to finding out now than we were about 2 hours ago. Florida State or Virginia?
Right now, Virginia needs to make some adjustments on the field. Florida State's had all the possession. They're getting the best opportunities. If it wasn't for Ivory, it would absolutely be 2-1.
Foul to the feet of Castellanos. The Venezuelan international. Patton goes back and collects. Back goes Kerner.
And that's that direct ball. You know, that Coach Kokoria was talking about. Florida State was holding the ball, passing along their back line. And if you play that long ball, put Virginia on their back foot, then you can start playing a little bit in front of them and in deeper positions on the field. And that's important for Florida State going forward. And because you don't want to possess just to possess. You want to possess in high positions and dangerous positions, so you can just slip a ball in that final third and get good goal-scoring opportunities.
Well, Ivory set to kick this away. You think to what Steve Swanson told us coming in about the loss to Florida State, that those lessons that you learn are a little bit bigger when you come off a loss. This will run all the way back. Pavlisco kicks it out. Told us that you think you don't win a game, that those lessons are more in focus, and that those games help you get to this point. Virginia makes a change. Claire Constant comes on, out of famed T.C. Williams High School. Had her whipped by McCool.
Yeah, and she should have whipped it the other way, because that's where her teammates were. It's going to be hard for her to score from that angle.
Well, they're still working over there. The thing about Virginia is they came in expecting that the Florida State staples would not change. And in the first half, they didn't seem very effective. Somehow out of halftime, these have really hit home. A lot more ferocity than in the first half.
Well, now the battle is being won in the midfield, and we talked about that in the open. How will the midfield of Virginia deal with the star power midfield of Florida State? And they're really getting eaten alive right now through the middle, and because they're not putting the pressure on Castellanos and Zhao and Howell, they're able to play balls and to change the point of the attack quickly, and that's really what's hurting Virginia the most right now in the second half.
Corner for Florida State here.
Hey, stay on! Stay on! Here we go!
Swinging in and cleared not too well. Carl sent the shot.
Florida State shot by number 16, Gabby Carl.
There's Zhao. Zhao from Carl. Swerving this ball in. Ivory. Grab it. Graduated a year early, still a young goalkeeper, arrived as a freshman at 17. And no one from Florida State seems too interested in slowing her progress.
Yeah, she's been exceptional today for Virginia. Some critical saves for them to keep this game at 1-1.
Behind McFarland. 43rd minute goal from Zoe Morse in her 60th career game, her 3rd career goal. And then in the 50th, Dana Castellanos started a string of good Florida State opportunities with goal number 34 for Florida State career. Tied now 4th all time for the Seminoles. Long run here for Patton. McFarland ran into the same space.
Well, it's interesting. I was watching Castellanos' movement, and Howe was making an excellent run. And if Castellanos had kept going forward, it could have been a 3v2, 3v3 situation for Florida State. But Castellanos kind of dropped back. So Howe was forced to go right, and then a big miscommunication between her and McFarland.
You seemed fairly interested in how you defend a player like Castellanos coming out of midfield. There's certainly a lot of ways to go after that.
Yeah, we have to know where she is all the time because of how good she is and smart she is with her runs.
Zhao slips it ahead. McFarland. Goalkeeper is out. McFarland slicing it back to the penalty spot, and Virginia able to get it away.
But she's so good at keeping the ball close to her feet, Castellanos. And this is Zhao as well, who's very difficult to defend. And McFarland just misses on the initial pass, but gets on the end of Ivory's deflection, just wasn't able to get enough on it to get it to her fellow players in the box. And yet again, Ivory comes up big for Virginia.
For Virginia entering number 6, Anna Sumter, replacing number 10, Taryn Torres, also entering number 19. Replacing number 20.
But the key with Castellanos, just to go back to that again, is because she keeps it so close to her on the dribble, you have to make sure you constantly have cover as a defender. And so you have to be close on the cover. So if you take the first step and force a longer touch, that's when you want the second defender to come in and scoop up that ball. And that's what Virginia did extremely well in the first half. They've just struggled in the second half.
McFarland checks out. Castellanos with her 1.2 million Instagram followers. We were remarking at that.
I think you called her the Alex Morgan of Venezuela, so she has about that many followers too, maybe more.
She's a soccer star, no doubt about that. An absolute star, and she gets kicked out from under her. Clock is stopped. Whether this is a talking to or a card, all that remains to be seen.
Well, it should be a card. She got sandwiched.
Yeah, no more is what the referee's going to go with.
So McLaren doing a good job and just sandwiched there. Well, I like to know the talking to. Definitely a foul. But both of the players were involved in that tackle.
Castellanos. Surely she's not going from here. She was.
Well, I mean, she scored that half field, you know, so that's nothing from 45 yards out or whatever it is.
Well, those are the shots per game. There's Russo and Castellanos, and then Sam Coffey, who was up for Offensive Player of the Year. It's a pretty steep drop-off.
Yeah. Well, she was, you know, I guess, you know, Coffey sets up people so well because she had so many goals and assists, so that was where she was dominant.
Whether Russo's the best player in the conference is an argument I'm sure that can be made. Coffey had a wonderful year for Boston College, and it wouldn't have surprised anybody if she had been named Offensive Player of the Year, I think.
Yeah, well, she got Midfield Player of the Year, so
Yeah.
just as good to get that coming through the midfield and still getting so many points and just being so well balanced. And she's a big reason why Boston College did so well this year in the ACC and on the national stage.
Yeah, their season is not over yet. And, you know, their whole goal, can we get a home game before coming to Cary? And they didn't make it to Cary. Clemson knocked them off in Boston.
Yeah, it looked like it backfired on them.
A little bit. Ended up playing in some adverse weather conditions, suboptimal. Forklifted over the top by Howell. But, they also wanted to try and make sure that they were in Newton for the first round of the NCAA tournament. I think they've got a pretty strong case for that. As the foul bringing down Spanstra, who was huge in the first maybe half an hour of this game.
Yeah, she's dangerous because she likes to hold on to the ball, and she's a creative player in the 1v1, trying to get in line, help her teammates. She just hasn't really connected nearly enough with McCool, with Torres, with Zandy and Sutton in the middle, and that needs to be the next step in these last 27 minutes or so. To get them the ball a little bit more. It's been mainly a defensive effort right now from Virginia. They haven't gotten a lot in the attack in the second half.
Well, they've come up with something off the set piece that goes sailing perilously by.
Substitution for Virginia, entering number 2, Betsy Brandon, replacing number 22, Megan McCool.
Brandon, the active leading goal scorer. Gorzak in as well. Brandon had started 18-plus games, each for her first 3 seasons, and now splits time off the bench.
Oh, and it looks like they've changed formation. She's come in, and now they're playing what looks like possibly a 4-4-2. Saw her telling some orders to her team, and maybe that'll help get a little more width for them and start playing around that Florida State back line.
Oh, there's the ball through, and a little shove from Spanstra. Not enough to create some room to get onto the ball.
Yeah, but I love that defending there from Patton. She didn't even go for the ball. She knew all she needed to do was use her body, not foul her, just get in the way and not allow for Spantra's run to continue.
Patton's had a nice game.
Yeah, she's solid back there.
No advantage here. Dorsey got hacked.
She was really solid for England, too, in the U20 World Cup.
Virginia.
So wouldn't be surprised if she started getting some call-ups to the full team.
Sent long by Berkeley for Dorsey. Brandon wants it back. And lost it to Jalen Howell. That Real Colorado Academy youth setup. There are a couple of team names that are just synonymous with top-level talent. Lobos. Carl out in front. Ball ricochets in. Florida State's got another. They've taken the lead. And it's the heroine again, Castellanos.
She just got bulldozed by one of her teammates. So I think she thought she was going to keep sliding on that celebration. But again, beating Virginia around the edges worked. And it looks like Ivory got hit in the head pretty hard on when she made the initial save. And well done from Villalobos to find Carl running down getting to the end line. Excellent ball in. You can see the collision with Ivory. And unfortunately, it just bounces right to Castellanos' foot. As Dorsey was trying to make the run, and her and Ivory bump into each other. And so watch this bulldoze right here from her teammate. Just completely takes her out.
That's precious cargo.
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I know. Maybe go a little bit easier in with the celebration.
8th goal. Make it her 9th, come to think of it. That's her 2nd of the game.
Could have been a hat trick for her.
Yeah.
But Ivory has done such an exceptional job. And I hope that she's all right.
Both teams are going to head off to their benches for a moment. Allow Ivory to get checked out, and Castellanos. Hugs from everybody. Everything tied back up there. Castellanos came in with 13 game-winning goals in her career, and that would be 3rd most in Florida State history. Looking for a 14th. Now sole possession of 4th place in Florida State's all-time scoring list. Their 2 goals today, up to 35.
And this is the slow motion, and Dorsey's knee just gets caught up on the back of Ivory's head. And no foul there. It's just an unfortunate collision. You hope that Ivory's all right.
Michaela Moran is the backup, it's worth noting. Actually had to start the game against Colgate back on August 17th because Ivory was still at the Youth World Cup. Ivory's walking off here, and we'll see if she's just going to go up to the referee and check back in here. Yeah, she's going to go. We'll continue on. The sophomore from Surfside in Florida who played for Miami Country Day, graduated a year early. And Moran, the freshman who did play against Hofstra and Liberty and against Pitt. Well, the last 17 minutes have been mighty fruitful for Florida State. 6 shots, 2 goals.
Well, the adjustments in the locker room for the second half have been obvious for Florida State. I mean, they have just dominated this second half completely. No waves this time, and it's just been clinical from Florida State, and from that, especially from that player right there, Castellanos.
Wow, chance to get in behind. Ivory takes the punishment, and Dorsey denied.
I have been so impressed with how quick Ivory is off of her line. I mean, the amount of grass she covers from that ball to where she makes the save. I mean, she just makes decisions so quick, and for a lot of goalkeepers, they wouldn't be coming off their line that high. They would wait for the shot, but the decision was made early, and she's been doing that all game long, even after that tough collision. She doesn't seem to be struggling at all.
You know, during the game, lead up, we got a chance to talk with both coaches, as we usually do. And you kind of asked what you thought about Virginia of late. Mark Krikorian, the head coach for Florida State, he goes, I don't know, you tell me. You're kind of going, one of the best coaches in women's soccer history, right, is asking me what I think.
Yeah, I'm like that's intimidating.
You're like probing a little bit, like, I think maybe.
Yeah. I'm like, I hope I'm right. Yeah.
You passed the test.
Yeah, thankfully.
But I mean, this was a fill in the blank, not a multiple choice.
Yeah. I was like, that's a lot of pressure. I've got other people listening too. And, I mean, he is. He's one of both these coaches on the sideline are 2 of the best ever in college. And he's asking me my opinion.
Yeah.
So I appreciated it. I'm glad that I was close to being right,
Whatever was figured out, clearly.
It worked.
Yeah, that's right.
I would love to sit in a room with those 2 and just pick their brains on everything, just learning how to coach and X's and O's and everything.
McLaren's gone into the book. She was, well, really cautioned that a yellow card was coming on a previous collision with Castellanos. So finally that's come to fruition. Player they feel can absolutely play at the next level. Now they're in a long line of impressive defenders from Virginia. Flipped along, and this is Connolly involved. think this is more an effort to settle this thing down. Connolly got shown a yellow, and I'm not sure there was really enough to warrant all that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either. Especially because she hadn't been given the warning like McLaren had.
Well, 2 goals in 17 minutes, and Florida State has responded, coming out of the locker room down a goal. And now the impetus on Virginia to try and save their ACC tournament. An effort to take on North Carolina on Sunday. Subs coming. That is a caravan of Virginia players.
Yeah, it's a line change. A lot of those players, though, are starters. They just got a nice break from the game, and they want to make sure to get some fresh legs out there because they're going to have to go after and press Florida State. They're going to have to regain some kind of possession and really put the pressure back on Florida State and their defense and just try and get a shot off and put some pressure on Bollinger in goal.
Number 17, Rebecca Jarrett, replacing number 24, Alexa Spanstra. Number 20, Sydney Zandy, replacing number 19, Ayana Adu.
Referee tugging in
number
air.
22, Megan McCool,
So what he felt happen there. It is a free kick to Virginia.
Foul, Florida State.
Everybody realizes, I think, now this is an ACC semifinal. If that was in question, this is no regular season matchup. 12 days ago feels like an eternity. Driven long off the head of McCool.
And Moore should have called her off. She had a much better angle and could have hit it on frame at least. You can see Morris had a much better look at it, but McCool gets on the end of it. Not really sure. Oh, it looks like Howell's holding her right leg. This is a big player for Howell.
I mean,
for Florida State, Howell has been
biggest, maybe. I mean, Castellanos, obviously, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, one of them.
I mean, the praise that she got was extensive. Player out of Fossil Ridge High School in Colorado, a finalist for Youth Player of the Year by U.S. Soccer. And what really came to me when, and you see the head coach there in the background, is Howell back to his feet, Mark Krikorian. You know, he said, we have, you know, a staff here that kind of understands, you know, foreign styles of play, and, you know, the way we possess the ball is sophisticated in its own right, and she's been able to take these market improvements over 3 months. We mentioned it in the first half, but it's clear that she's playing chess when some freshmen would be playing checkers.
Yeah, and you can see it on the field, too. She knows where to be positionally, staying right in front of her two center backs, you know, stopping the passing lanes for those target forwards to get to, and she swings the ball extremely well, changing the point of the attack, but she connects well with Castellanos and Zhao in the midfield, and she has a great vision of the game, and that's kind of what you want from that 6 role, that defensive midfield role, and she's just been critical and a difference maker for this team. And so you just hope that she's going to be all right and be able to come back in, or at least be healthy as the season continues.
Put in play by Bollinger. No shots from Virginia in the last about 21 minutes. That's going to need to change if Virginia's to make it to the ACC final on Sunday. Nobody knew where that went. Connolly will come off, playing on that yellow card. Casey Tillman comes back. So McLaren.
There's just not a lot of options for the center backs of Virginia. They're looking to try and play the midfielders. You just have to find those spaces just a little bit easier. You know, Coach Swanson is hoping they can add to that goal-scoring leader at the moment, but they're not able to build up through the middle of the field as much as they're used to. And you want Sutton and Zandy to touch the ball a little bit more, and you have to trust in them too. You need to play their back. You know, they're facing their own goal, but it's just been a good job from the midfield of Florida State to not really give a whole lot of options to build out of the back from the center back position of Virginia.
Turned over to McCool, who's been quiet. Both number 9s, the strikers, have been fairly quiet. McFarland the other way, too.
Foul, Virginia.
Berkeley headed away by Kerner.
Substitution for Florida State entering. Number 20, Kristen McFarland, replacing number 7, Dallas
McFarland
Dorsey.
has returned. This has not been a game for her. Duke got the game winner in Durham, Koskinen Stadium.
Now Dorsey's done a nice job up there, actually. Almost got a goal, but Ivory coming off her line so well, wasn't able to, but they just haven't really found her too much, and you got to give a lot of credit to the center backs of Virginia, but she needs to find that space just a little bit better.
Snipped out before McFarland could get on the ball. Chance to pivot. Could this be the last two champions of the ACC meeting on Sunday? Florida State, North Carolina. Lest we forget that North Carolina has lost 72 games ever, and 8 were to Florida State, more than any other program.
Oh, that's quite the stat there.
Only 4 teams have beaten North Carolina more than 4 times. This ball sliced in front. McCool, clever touch. Oh, no whistle.
That was close, though. That was very, very close.
And seemingly unnecessary, perhaps?
Yeah, very unnecessary. Berkeley looked like she had plenty of, well, Bollinger had plenty of time, but Berkeley following her up, making sure she doesn't get near the ball. And good no call, but if she had extended that arm just a little bit more, the referee would have had to really think about that.
pressure from Zhao. Carl, who moved from midfield to defender, not too far out of her comfort zone. Here's Zhao. It's been a lot of fun to watch on this night. And Zhao gets bumped into the byline and fires it off. ACC hashtags.
Yeah, and you're getting a sense that Florida State's really trying to slow this game down. They really want to be methodical. Coach Krikorian telling his team to just be patient on the ball and make sure that this is how you're going to beat Virginia, not by playing too much defense. Your best defense right now is your possession.
And if they want that 6th title, that's going to be the way to make it happen. Virginia's got other ideas.
Well, it's a good sign, too, because Howell's back on the field for Florida State, so it's good that her injury wasn't too bad.
That would have been a giant, giant loss for the final if that came to pass.
When it's funny, when they have their arm over their head and they're just, writhing in a lot of pain, you get so worried, and then they're back on the field just fine. So you're happy for them, but you get worried for them as well, because when in the women's game, they don't roll 50 times before they stop their movement. Not talking about anybody specifically at all.
No.
I promise.
For Virginia,
Virginia's offensive drought now 25 minutes without a shot. It's been masterful from Florida State in the second half.
Number 5, Lizzie Saraki, replacing number 4, Hannah Furman.
There is an element of, I'd love to see part 3 of this.
Replacing number 25, Alyssa Gorzak.
For the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd buy that ticket today.
Absolutely.
Number 24, Alexis Spencer.
It's just you feel.
I don't think these two teams want to play each other again, but we'd love to watch it.
Thanks for falling on the sword for us.
Yeah. We really appreciate it if you don't mind this entertaining soccer.
Yeah. Anstra can't quite get through. Referee's got his eyes on this, so he says. Could have set piece put Virginia over. They've struggled so much to get it going.
It's been where they've been the most dangerous. They got the goal and had a couple of other opportunities off set pieces.
Drives this long. That's a long run. And it's back set toward Zhao. Sandy slides it forward. Ricochets off of Adu. And Karam's back to Morse, who's got the goal. Nearly unanimous captain. Junior for Virginia in the back. Beating the first. This is a corner for UVA. And the effort of Rebecca Jarrett in the 4. Sister Grace, women's soccer over at Emory.
I know that area quite well now.
You do? Inside 10 minutes, and a corner for the Cavaliers. Rising up, headed down by the goal line.
I mean,
foul.
Ref is quite whistle happy tonight, and I'm not really sure what this call was. Yeah, I just don't see a foul in there at all. Just it was a bunch of players going for it, and I just wouldn't call it.
The header was off of Patton too.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm so confused.
Could Florida, the number 7 seed, the 7th ranked team in the country,
Florida State.
beg your pardon?
Yeah, watch out. Those Seminoles don't like to be called Gators, you know.
Did I?
Oh, you said Florida. You just.
Whoa. Whoa.
I don't want you to get in trouble. Okay?
Whoa. Whoa. Tillman for the Seminoles. Ball through. It's in. McFarland. Is that their ticket punch to the final? It's 3-1 to Florida State.
Well, we were talking about how she needed to find some space from those center backs. Well, she does an excellent job starting centrally, but then releasing to the outside, and a sophisticated finish here from her. And Tillman, who's been one of the best players for FSU tonight, does a good job of forcing the center backs to make the decision to come to her and just giving McFarland acres of space. But what a great finish outside of her right foot, chips it over Ivory, and Ivory has been a tough person to beat today, and that was clinical on McFarland's part, so well done from her. Now that's going to be really tough for Virginia in 8 minutes to score 2 goals.
How about this, though? I mean, the ACC is so sacked that one result at the end of the year drops a team from middle of the table and in the mix to host a first-round game in the quarterfinals to number 7. You're going on the road to Duke, who had a fantastic year after losing so many great seniors. And they go get a goal from McFarland and then come here to Cary and have a chance to knock off Virginia and take on North Carolina, a team that they fell 1-0 in Tallahassee back in mid-September.
I mean, Coach Krikorian said they're playing their best soccer right now, and what a time to be doing that. And they're showing it tonight against a very good Virginia team.
And all due respect to him, they're playing their best soccer in the second half.
Yeah.
This is them at their absolute best.
This has been clinical.
Another win for Mark Krikorian. Another step
replacing number 20
for an ACC tournament championship. A 3-year run ended last year.
Entering number 26, Lorana Sargent, replacing number 22, Megan McCool.
Well, if they can stay healthy, they have the pieces. I mean, the middle of the field is obvious with the youth of Zhao and Howe, but the experience of Castellanos. But then you have depth. You have extremely good winger play from Tillman and Lynch, and then other players coming in as well. And McFarland's playing really well, but the defense is also one of the best in the country. So it's all there for Florida State. Now they just can't have another Miami where they have 25 shots and give up the one opportunity and they lose.
Well, sometimes you got to defend front to back. Jarrett ran out of real estate. For Virginia, this is a team that Coach Swanson feels remarkably coachable, that they've gained a lot from the games they've lost. It's a pretty balanced team in terms of class breakdown. And you would think there's still going to be a threat in the NCAA tournament and that they could turn this ultimately into a positive in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they were up on an incredible Florida State team that giving up 3 goals in the second half. Coach Swanson can't like that, and you can see he's a bit frustrated. Him and his coaching staff are wondering what happened at this point, but this is a team that will do extremely well in the NCAA tournament. They have the pieces as well. They just need to find a little bit better of attack. They struggled today, garnering really a whole lot of opportunities, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that their midfield struggled. Torres just didn't touch the ball nearly enough, McCool as well. And for them to not touch the ball, that really hurts Virginia.
Off to the corner for Florida State.
Florida State, number 10, Dana Castellanos.
Castellanos. Just an incredible performance. This ball floated and gets cleared away. Gabby Carl swung that in. Zhao. She's going to be a lot of fun to watch the next 3 years.
Yeah, she's going to be a special player. And the development under Coach Krikorian and all of his coaching staff, it's going to be exciting to see how far she can go and really help not only Florida State, but also her national team.
It'll be interesting to see how she continues on with the Chinese national team moving forward.
Yeah, they used to be one of the toughest countries to play, and now they're just really struggling to even make the World Cup nowadays. And so they need more players like her coming up.
To be fair, you look at the teams that were scraping the bottom of the barrel 20 years ago in that region in AFC. I mean, the way New Zealand and Australia and Japan.
You just never know what you're going to get with North Korea.
Right.
South Korea's doing better. It's been a lot of effort for the women's game to do great things over there, and I would not be surprised if you saw Australia at least in the semifinals. I think they're a great team. They've got one of the best players who doesn't get enough recognition in Sam Kerr on their team, and she just is still scoring goals, in her sleep probably, because she's always scoring. Quickest hat trick ever in the WSL, and just a constant threat for any team she plays for.
And then Europe, we're seeing some of these, the Lionesses are peppered all over the American collegiate landscape. CONMEBOL, how far do they go? How far does CONCACAF go? The South American, the North American, the Caribbean, Central America, those regions. I think that's more the question. We're seeing things even up a little bit, right, in Asia and in Europe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who knows? France could win something. I mean, something significant.
Well, they got the pressures in their country, so.
Oh. Also got that weird dynamic of not having anybody to play, because World Cup qualifying doesn't really affect them.
Yeah, it is kind of odd. I know that Canada struggled with that in the last World Cup because they didn't play in the qualifying. Nice thing is for France, they have so many countries closer to them than Canada did. So.
Well, this will run into the channel. Minute to go here. And Florida State pulling away from Virginia in the second half. It was 1-0 to Virginia after a 43rd minute goal from Morse. Castellanos scores twice, the 50th and the 66th. McFarland seals the deal, it appears, in the 82nd. And Kat, this is going to be just a fantastic final ahead, Florida State and North Carolina. I think a lot of fans coming in would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, I mean, this Florida State team, the second half was excellent. Virginia just couldn't find a way through. They didn't get a whole lot of opportunities. Coach Swanson will be scratching his head a little bit, trying to figure out what happened in the second half, but he can pay a lot of tribute to the way Florida State played because of how good they were. So it's going to be interesting to see Florida State and North Carolina play in the final, and they've become accustomed to doing that since they did it a couple of years ago where Florida State won in penalty kicks.
Well, that's it. Florida State will take on North Carolina. The 7 seed is on to the ACC final on Sunday as they dismantle Virginia in the second half, 3-0, and in totality 3-1.
Yeah, and they deserved it. They were, it was an even game pretty much in the first half, but really it was all Florida State in the second, and Castellanos put on a clinic for scoring, and that whole midfield really just won out in the end. And that's the reason why they won 3-1.
Big night for Castellanos. Goals number 8 and 9 of the season. She's been quiet this year.
Not tonight, she wasn't. Look at that goal. Just opens up her hips, sees the far post open, and bends it in so well. And the end line, getting around the Virginia defense was key for Florida State. She gets a deflection and then just gets completely taken down by her teammate on that celebration. Might want to go a little more gentle when it comes to tackling after a goal, but they were all excited because they know how hard it is to beat Virginia.
3-1 winners. Mark Krikorian's side is on to the conference final, and the bracket would show that number 7 seeded Florida State knock off Virginia, will take on the top seeded, undefeated, unblemished, 12-game winning streak, North Carolina. Cat, a lot of fun tonight, and I think Sunday, well, this is what we're looking at. Noon, ESPNU, North Carolina, Florida State. We're going to do this whole thing again.
It's going to be a great game. I'm excited to see who can recover quickly because it's a quick turnaround for both these teams. They both had hard-fought battles, so it's going to be who can mentally get through that game, but also tactically and technically 2 of the best teams in the ACC.
So for producer Rick Willensick and director Kyle Lang, our entire ESPN team, and Cal Whitehill, Mike Watts saying so long from Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. Florida State 3, Virginia 1. They've advanced on to the ACC Women's Soccer Championship. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader of sports. Be careful, that's precious cargo. Florida State, North Carolina coming up Sunday. Good night.